Hi all, welcome to the 7th edition of Professor Visa and Education Services. My name is Janish. I'm the Registered Migration Agent in Australia and also Director of Professor Visa and Education Services. Now today I'm going to talk about ENS Visa, which is the Permanent Residency Visa, and mainly focusing on TRT stream, which is the Temporary Resident Transition. Now, why TRT? Because this is the common stream that people usually apply for 186 visa or ENS visa. That's why I want to focus on TRT. Now, there are other streams where people apply permanent residency from, which is the direct stream, as you know, but I'm not going to focus on all of that kind of stuff today. I will be purely focusing on TRT stream. So when I talk about TRT, I just wanted to focus on some of the criteria that applicant needs to fulfill before they apply for 186 visa. The first cap of the rank is the training benchmark. Now, if your employer has a 457 staff and they've been running the business, it is their duty that they spend a certain amount of their payroll figure to provide training and education to the staff. And now this is not just the 457 visa requirement. This is kind of a requirement overall for any business owner to actually invest some money on training and educating the staff. Whereas for ENS visa, this is the requirement. Okay. So now, depending upon whether or not you have Australian citizen or permanent residency people working in the environment, that will define whether or not you need to do training benchmark A or training benchmark B. Now, usually with Australian employer, they will have Australian citizen or permanent residency people working with them. So usually we'll be focusing on training benchmark B. Now, you don't need to focus on the training benchmark so much, because this is more like the employer duties and responsibilities. So I'm just going to talk about some main criteria. So as the applicant though, what you need to do is you need to fulfill 2 years of full-time work under 457 visa under your nominated occupation. So once you finish that 2 years, now when I said 2 years, you have to exclude any holiday period that hasn't been paid or anything like that. We have to exclude that. So your 2 years only start from the day your contract started with the employer under 457 visa, and your 2 years will finish when you have worked full-time without any unpaid holidays, if you count all of those hours, and if you reach 2 years, and that's when you generally entitled for the permanent residency, which is the ENS visa. The third most important factor is that you have to commit, as an applicant, you have to commit that you're going to work for another 2 years for this particular employer, and based upon that commitment and an employer saying yes, that occupation is available for this particular client for another 2 years, with that commitment itself, immigration will actually give you permanent residency, saying, okay, well, the occupation, the person looks like he's still working on the occupation, and it looks like there's a genuine need for that person to be there for another 2 years, so let's just give him permanent residency, and that's the whole idea. Another important factor is that your salary rate. Now, whatever the salary that you are getting in terms of your occupation, whether you're a chef, cook, accountant, marketing, sales and marketing, or restaurant and cafe manager, whatever the occupation is, your salary has to match with Australian market rate. Now, what that means is, like, if you're a chef or cook, your salary has to match whatever your employer is paying you, has to match with Australian salary market rate. Now, where can you find these market rates? There are a lot of websites that you can go and refer to. My favorite one is Hayes. The Hayes recruitment has a lot of update in terms of the salary, because they're the recruitment agency. They will update their website with the current Australian market rate. Now, the other biggest thing is your age. If you're under 50, yes, that will make you eligible to apply for this permanent residency visa. But if you're over 50, unfortunately, you won't be able to apply for this visa unless you're an exempt person. Now, if you wanted to find out what exempt person is, definitely give us a call. But today I'm going to just talk about some key criteria for the 186 visa. I'm not going to get into too much detail in terms of exemption and all of that. I'm just going to go through the key points. But if you are over 50, and if you wanted to find out what is the other way that you can be exempted from the age group, that over 50 age group, please do contact us. Alright, so the next thing is that Now, how is that 2 years counted? Now, if you worked for some other employer for 2 years under occupation, and then that employer went busted or liquidated or no longer trading, and you change your employer, your 2 years will reset once you change your employer. So your whatever the time that you worked with your previous employer would not be counted for this new 457 visa that you transfer. Now be careful that do not lodge a 186 visa if you work in a different places and you're counting your 2 years under 457 visa, but you work for a different employer, it is not counted. So it has to be the same employer for 2 years, unless you transfer, unless you have a mother company and then they just transfer you between the sub company, but your occupation is exactly same. In that case, your 2 years will not be impacted. However, if you change employer, as I said, your 2 years will reset again. Okay, so be careful of that. Now, the biggest confusion the guys have on ENS visa is the English requirement. So everyone keeps talking about what is the minimum requirement. Now I'll shed some light on the English requirement. Now, if you're a passport holder of UK, United States, Canada, Ireland or New Zealand, you don't need to sit for IELTS test, obviously, because of the passport holder itself. Your primary language is English, so you don't need to sit for a test. But if you're not a holder of this passport, then you need to demonstrate that you have a vocational English, not a functional English, vocational English. So that means as a primary visa applicant, you need to show you have 5 in each band in IELTS. Okay, so it has to be 5 in each band in IELTS as a primary applicant. Now, if you can't get 5 in each band, there are some exemption. As I said, I'm not going to go into too much detail in terms of exemption. The common one is if your salary is $180,000. But once again, if you are a trade occupation like chef or cook, it is very hard to justify the $180,000 salary to get exemption from IELTS. So be careful if you're claiming $180,000 salary. You need to justify your role itself is entitled that much amount of money. Okay, so there are usually exemption, but then you know, be careful what sort of exemption that you use and how much evidence that you're providing to support your case here. Now, in terms of your dependent applicant, so say for example your partner or someone in the application, they need to demonstrate some English requirement as well. Now, for their English requirement is not vocational, their English requirement is functional. So they need to have just functional English. So what that means in terms of scoring itself, you need to score overall 4.5 in IELTS. Now, whatever the equivalent score in other English stream like PTE and stuff like that, you can check it out in website, but let's base our English requirement in IELTS for now. For IELTS, you need to get 4.5 as a dependent. Now, don't be alarmed if you could not get that IELTS score or English requirement. There is a secondary visa application charges, which what we call as the SVAC. You can pay certain amount, like somewhere close to $4,500 for your dependent if they could not score 4.5 overall in IELTS. So there are some other ways to achieve that or to get that English requirement, so don't be alarmed. Now, the other common question is how long does it take for the process? How long does my visa process take until I get my permanent residency? Now, in my experience with New South Wales application, the normal processing time is somewhere around 3 to 8 months. Now, if you have all the documentation and if everything is checked, you've done all your research, all the supporting documents is attached, you make the case officer happy with the decision ready application, it will come very, very fast. However, I generally quote my client is somewhere around 3 to 8 months, because I don't want to quote anything more, just in case, you know, the case officer might have some question, or we might need to go back and forward fulfilling those inquiries and further request of the document from immigration. Now, that is all for today. This is ENS visa from TRT stream focus video. Now, if you do have any questions, if you're already in 457 visa and you're thinking about applying for permanent residency, and you're not sure about what are the documents that you need to produce now as an employer or employee, please do not hesitate to contact us. We're located at 99 York Street, level 9, suite 4. Or you can visit our website www.provisa.com.au, Alternatively, you can call us on 029007 4409, and that's our landline number. Or you can visit in our Facebook and drop us a line, send us a private message, and we'll book you in. Now, as I said in our previous video, we do provide free half-an-hour consultation, so please feel free to book in a time with us, and then we should be able to take you through the process. Now, this is it until next Monday. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact us. Until then, see you later. Have a good night.